At the next stop along the line is going to be the small intestines, but before we get our food into the small intestines, there are some accessory glands that are going to provide materials to the small intestines that will help the small intestines do its job. And those are collectively the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. They are accessory organs. The liver has a digestive function. It produces bile. Bile is a fat emulsifier. Fats don't like to be in water. Emulsifiers will help them dissolve in water. So we need to get small fats dissolved into the water environment that we can absorb them in. The gallbladder is going to store that bile until it's needed and then secrete it. And the pancreas is going to be a very important digestive accessory gland. It's going to supply most of the enzyme needed to digest the chyme. It also provides bicarbonate, and that helps to neutralize stomach acid. So the liver is the largest gland in the body. It weighs about 3 pounds. It's divided into 4 primary lobes: the left, right, caudate, and quadrate. The falciform ligament is going to separate the larger right and smaller left lobes. It also suspends the liver from the diaphragm and the anterior abdominal wall. The round ligamentum, formerly referred to as the ligamentum teres, is a remnant of the fetal umbilical vein along the free edge of the falciform ligament. Here we go. You can see the round ligament here and the falciform ligament here. Different view. Lesser omentum anchors the liver to the stomach. The hepatic artery and vein enter the liver at the porta hepatis. The bile ducts, the common hepatic duct leaves the liver. The cystic duct connects to the gallbladder, and the bile duct is formed when the common hepatic and cystic ducts join together. Microscopically, there are lobules in the liver. These are hexagonal structures, and they are the functional units of the liver. They're composed of plates of hepatocytes, or liver cells, that filter and process the nutrient-rich blood that comes through them. There is a central vein located in the longitudinal axis, and there is what is known as a portal triad in each corner of the lobule. The triad is made up of a branch of the hepatic artery, the hepatic portal vein, and the bile duct. So the branch of hepatic artery is going to supply oxygen. The hepatic portal vein is going to bring nutrient-rich blood from the intestine, and the bile duct is going to receive bile from bile caniculi. So here are those hexagonal structures with triads at each corner and a central vein. Central vein. The sinusoids are leaky capillaries located between the hepatic plates. Blood from both the hepatic portal vein and hepatic portal artery percolate from triad regions through the sinusoids and empty into the central vein. There are resident macrophages there called stellate macrophages or hepatic macrophages that are going to remove debris and any old red blood cells that show up there. So here is our triad structure, and everything will be picked up by the central vein. Hepatocytes have a lot of rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. They have a lot of Golgi apparatus, peroxisomes, and mitochondria, so they are doing a lot of work. They produce about 900 milliliters of bile a day. They process blood-borne nutrients. They store glucose as glycogen, make plasma proteins. Fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the liver, and they are very important for detoxification. They convert ammonia to urea. Bile is an emulsifying agent. It's a yellow-green alkaline solution. It has bile salts, which are derived from cholesterol, and they have the fat emulsifying role. are also important for absorption. Bilirubin is a pigment, so it's colored. It's formed from heme. Bacteria break down that bilirubin in the intestines to stercobilin, and that gives feces their brown color. There are, in addition to that, cholesterol, triglycerides, phospholipids, and electrolytes in bile. The enterohepatic circulation is a recycling mechanism that conserves bile salts. So bile salts are reabsorbed into the blood by the ileum, which is the last part of the small intestines. They make their way back to the liver through the hepatic portal blood, hepatic portal circulation, and then they are resecreted into newly formed bile. About 95% of secreted bile salts are recycled, so only about 5% of bile needs to be synthesized each time. Hepatitis is usually a viral infection, could be due to drug toxicity, including wild mushrooms. Cirrhosis is a progressive chronic inflammation from chronic hepatitis or alcoholism, and when that happens, the liver becomes fatty and fibrous, and that leads to high blood pressure in this hepatic portal circulation, which is called portal hypertension. Liver transplants are successful, but livers are scarce. The liver can regenerate to its full size in 6 to 12 months after 80% of it has been removed. So living donors are possible for liver transplants. In fact, I am friends with a gentleman who last year, received a successful liver transplant from his wife. And both are currently doing well, although I won't say it was a simple surgery, and he is still dealing with complications, but long-term looks good. Gallbladder is a thin-walled muscular sac on the ventral surface of the liver. It functions to store and concentrate bile, and it does so by absorbing water and ions. It has a honeycomb folds in it that allow it to expand as it fills. Muscular contractions are going to release the bile through the cystic duct, and that will flow into the bile duct. Gallstones or biliary caliculi are caused by too much cholesterol or too few bile salts, and they can obstruct the flow of bile from the gallbladder. They become painful when the gallbladder contracts against those sharp crystals. That can lead to obstructive jaundice, which is a blockage caused by causing bile salts and pigments to build up in the blood, giving you the jaundice yellow color. That can also be, jaundice is also a symptom of liver failure. Gallstone treatment, you can use crystal dissolving drugs, lithotripsy, which is using ultrasound vibrations, laser vaporization, or surgery. The pancreas. Most of the pancreas is retroperitoneal. It's deep to the greater curvature of the stomach. Its head is encircled by the duodenum, and its tail lines up against the spleen. It has exocrine function, and its exocrine function is to produce pancreatic juice. Acini are clusters of secretory cells that produce zymogen granules. They have proenzymes in them that when they get to where they need to be, they will be activated by the environment to the full enzyme, the working enzyme. They have ducts that secrete to the duodenum through the main pancreatic duct, and smaller ducts to produce water and bicarbonate. Endocrine functions, it also secretes insulin and glucagon, and we've talked about those numerous times throughout the year. Those are done by the pancreatic islet cells, the alpha cells, and beta cells. So here's one acini, and the acinar cells secrete enzymes, including the zymogen granules, a lot of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Small ducts contain, and those are lined by duct cells, and those duct cells secrete bicarbonate and water. And here is a microscopic image of that. Pancreatic juice, we make about 1.2 to 1.5 liters a day. It is a watery alkaline solution, has a pH of approximately 8. That helps to neutralize the acidic chyme that's coming from the stomach. It has electrolytes in it, primarily bicarbonate and digestive enzymes. There are proteases that digest proteins. They are secreted in inactive form, proenzymes, so that they don't self-digest. The pancreas amylase it works on carbohydrates. Lipases work on lipids, and nucleases would attack and break down nucleic acids. The proteases that are active, secreted in proform include enteropeptidase, which is an enzyme bound to a plasma membrane in the duodenal epithelial cells. It will activate the pancreatic proteins trypsinogen to become trypsin. Trypsin can then work on other trypsinogen to make more trypsin. It can also work on carboxypeptidase to activate carboxypeptidase, or chymotrypsinogen to become chymotrypsin. The bile duct and the pancreatic duct unite in the wall of the duodenum. They fuse together in a bulb-like structure called the hepatopancreatic ampulla, and that ampulla opens into the duodenum through a volcano-shaped major duodenal papilla, and the hepatopancreatic sphincter controls the entry of bile and pancreatic juice into the duodenum. There's also the accessory pancreatic duct, which is smaller and empties directly into the duodenum. Bile and pancreatic juice secretions are stimulated by both neural and hormonal controls. Hormones include CCK and secretin. It is increased when enterohepatic circulation returns large amounts of bile salts. Secretin from the intestinal cells that are exposed to hydrochloric acid and fatty chyme stimulate the gallbladder to release bile. Hepatopancreatic sphincter is closed unless digestion is active. Bile is stored in the gallbladder and released to the small intestines only when with a contraction of the gallbladder. So, mechanisms. CCK and secretin are secreted by duodenal enteroendocrine cells. CCK stimulated by proteins and fats, secretin by acidic chyme. They enter the circulation and cause further events. The pancreatic secretions. CCK induces secretion by acinar cells of the enzyme rich pancreatic juice. Secretin causes the secretion of bicarbonate, and the vagus nerve can also weakly stimulate the cephalic phase. Bile secretion by the liver is returned from enterohepatic circulation. Secretin is a minor stimulus for that. Gallbladder contraction. CCK causes contraction. The vagus nerve can stimulate a weak contraction. And hepatopancreatic sphincter relaxation, CCK causes that.